Press on record there. Hello, everybody. Tom Caldabiano here, ELR 360 Live. Let's see, will it register? Yes. And good. Oh, I like that. I like that. All right. And now I have to go over to Instagram. Let's pull Instagram over here. And then we go live here. And I have to make sure I am in the middle of the frame. Okay, so that would be, let's see, for Instagram, what a weird delay. There we go. All right. Tom Caldabiano here. Everybody loves Raymond. ELR 360 Live on Sunday. We're going to be doing, that was a loud snap. We're going to be doing, hopefully recording up the podcast. And a lot of you have been like, oh, I really don't need to hear a podcast. I would like to hear live stuff live. And I'm like, okay, stuff live. I see a troubled face in the crowd. Is there problems with audio? Okay, let's see. Let me check, because it's one thing that I've noticed. Okay, let's do this, and then let's look at audio. Mix pre-10, yes. Good. Camera, yes. Everything is go, as they say. All right. For those of you that don't follow, the New York Knicks won the NBA championship. I am not a basketball fan. I'm agnostic about basketball. But they are, I would call them an underdog because they haven't won the NBA championship since 1973, I think it was, which is kind of a long time. A lot of you know that as for being a long time ago. It's, by the way, hot here in Hollywood on this, what would you call it, a Sunday? Yeah, so that's, I'm using a different lens, so that's as close, let me see, but I got to look on Instagram. So Instagram is a little bit behind. For those of you that are like, what is he? I can't see. Yeah, I think that's good right there. Okay, I see why that is. Yeah. Our favorite quotes mug. Wow, I'm drinking a fancy schmancy Starbucks. It's got almond paste, garlic, and something else in it. I don't know. It's one of those triple something drinks. I'll get the information texted to me, and I will read it to you. All right. Let's say some hellos to people. Move that over there. Hi, Donnell. Oh, yeah. So, Donnell, you're from Texas, right? You're in Austin. So I'm sorry. I'm terribly sorry. For those of you in the UK, San Antonio Spurs played the New York Knicks. And so the New York Knicks were they an underdog for that? I don't know if they were ultimately an underdog. You're seeing me. Here's my laptop, folks. I got my my magnifying glass so I can bring up all of these little things. Were you on last week? I missed May 31st. We celebrated my dad's 95th birthday. Ross Fortunato. Very good. He's listening with me now. Well, happy birthday, Ross. 95. Let's see. Who I think is the oldest person is 120. Is that the record right now? 120? Oh, yeah. So you got a little ways to go, but 95, nothing to sneeze at. Very impressive. Norman Lear was very, very sharp until the very end, which was 100. So there you go. Happy birthday. Was I on last week? Yes. Yes, I was. But was I in this studio? No, that's what it was. I did not do Sunday because I was traveling. So then I did a Tuesday, special Tuesday. By the way, let me say a few more hellos. Let's bring up a couple more people. Sorry, Donnell, you're such a big fan. I apologize that the Knicks beat your team. So there you go. I think there were some coaching mistakes, right? Again, for those of you in the UK or in Australia, the New York Knicks were a big underdog as far as, they just haven't won in a long time. They were like the Chicago Cubs. Okay. Linda Lawrence, sound is good on Facebook. I like that. Hello, Tom. Hello, everyone. from, let me see, I wonder if I made this screen over here bigger. So I'm looking at two screens, everybody. I'm looking at a laptop, and then aloha, Bobby. Oh yes, this is a much bigger screen. Let's do this. Let's expand this, and then we do this. Oh yes, much bigger, much bigger. Hello from Marshfield, Massachusetts. Oh yeah, but now I remember this. Problem is, if I move that screen, how great is this? How great is watching somebody work out technical things on screen? Okay, let's exit full screen. The problem is then you're seeing me in profile, which maybe that's better. Maybe if I didn't face the camera at all. Okay, here we go. Are we liking this newer lens? So the lens is different. Let's get into tech. If we're going to try and bore people, I think talking lenses helps a lot. This is a zoom lens, and it's it's a little more complementary. So the worst thing you want to do, folks, if someone's taking a picture of you, you want them to have the longest lens possible because it's usually very complementary to the human face. That's why a fisheye is crazy distorted. So your face, no one wants a fatter, wider face. Very few people want a fatter, wider face, I would say. And so what you sacrifice though is, and I'm bringing this up because we're recording a new feature where I posted one of them, I describe a photo. And it was explained to me that, Tom, if you're going to try and get viewers to watch your photos, then you should be on camera talking about, just kind of like this, only there's a photograph underneath me. Because I'm like, well, why not do the Ken Burns effect? For those of you who don't know, Ken Burns, documentary filmmaker. And it's called the Ken Burns effect because what he would do is, he did a documentary about the Civil War where there wasn't much VHS tape around during the days of Lincoln. So he had to use all still photographs. So people were like, hey, how is this knucklehead? How dare he think he can do? And then he pulled it off. And what he does is this slow zoom as he's talking about something, and you're mesmerized and pulled in. So I did that. I did that as an experiment. I would talk about the photo. You don't see me, you just hear my voiceover and be like, there's Patricia Heaton recording with her video camera, and there's X, Y, and Z, whatever's happening. And then a friend who's much younger than me, who's like, let me tell you how it works nowadays. You have to be on camera or people will go right by. And so I said, okay, because it feels like, is it an ego thing where Tom has to be on camera? No. I don't have to be on camera, but that is what's going to happen. So this is the long-winded way of saying what happens in Hollywood is YouTube is successful. Hollywood people come in and go, let us make this more professional, and it kills the channel because there's an immediacy when you have your iPhone and you're looking into the iPhone, you really feel like you're talking to me. And the danger, and this weirdly relates to I Love Lucy, the danger is that something changes in the relationship between me and the person watching. You just feel like you're watching a talk show that's on YouTube versus a person who feels like your friend right there. How does that relate to I Love Lucy? When I Love Lucy started, Desi Arnaz contacted, I think his name is Carl Freund, but don't quote me on that, even though I'm 100% sure that's what it is. Anyway, award-winning cinematographer. And they're like, hey, we're going to do 4 cameras rolling at once. And the cinematographer is like, oh, that's so not cinematic. It's like flat lighting. Everything is lit the same. You're surrounded by a bunch of lights no matter where you move on the set. Everything is lit the same versus movies where, there's these magnificent cinematic shots. They're called that for a reason. So Carl Freund at the beginning is like, okay, we recorded this episode. The audience seems to laugh. However, here's what you're missing. Let's get some beautiful shots, same scene of Lucy. Let's light it like I know as an award-winning cinematographer. And the parts they used of that was zero, nothing. Why? Because it took the viewer out. Because all of a sudden they're like, wait, I'm in the living room with Lucy and now I'm watching a movie moment with Lucy. It just didn't fit. So was he correct in that cinematically it looked much, much, much better? And could you put that in a movie? Yes. Did it hurt the show? It would have, because you would have been taken out. And one of the things of a multi-camera sitcom is you have bright, flat lighting. And even, I'll give an example from Raymond. She's the one episode where where Robert goes into her apartment and it's filled with frogs and he goes out the window. When you're watching that, you're like, oh, you could have lit that more like a horror movie. It's a little brightly lit still, even though it's pouring like mad and he's going out the window. But you have flat sitcom lighting. It is not a judgment on the people who do the lighting on a sitcom. It's just that's what you have. You have that type of lighting. So I don't know if anybody else hears that. There's a train whistle out the window. But don't worry, I'm not in danger of getting hit. But we're coming back to, I have a different lens on there, a 70 millimeter lens. Okay, let's say hi to some more people here. Scrolling down, yes. Hi, Deb. Hot and humid in New Jersey with thunderstorms expected. That is the weather report from Deb in near Phillipsburg, New Jersey. Yeah, can I tell you, being in California, when Ray and I moved out at the same time and we stayed in the same place because Ray was sure that the show would get canceled and he would have to move back. The lack of humidity, when you grow up on the East Coast and we would call like the top 10 days of the year where it was 20% humidity and not a cloud in the sky, that was like every day out here. And you get used to it. So today, it's a little humid here. It's disgusting. It's like a swamp. It might be 60% humidity here, and it's unacceptable completely. So my heart goes out to you. Kim, it's very hot in Mississippi all the time, right? You're saying, I'm sorry. Hello, Kim. Yes, yeah, Mississippi, that's kind of, that's a tough one. You're used to it there. So happy for the Knicks. Watching, yes, okay. Hello, everyone. From Ireland. Been a really beautiful day today. Been in the garden all day. Now, Marie Dance, did I say that correctly? Is that really your last name? Did I bring it up? Let me see. I have to. Is it big enough because Marie Dance, maybe that's not your last name. Maybe that's something that you like to do. How's that for deductive reasoning? That might be completely wrong. Gardening, they say, really extends prevents, what is the word? Alzheimer's and dementia. That's the word I was searching for. That was a bit of a bit. But yes, gardening, because it employs two things. It employs all of your body because you're moving around stuff, but it gives you purpose. And a lot of people, you lose your purpose, especially when you get to be, 95 and you're like, what is your purpose? But when you have a garden, that's a little bit of a small focus group which is dependent on you. All right, let's ask a Q. We need a reboot of the show with the new generation. Yeah, Sandy, I talk about it, and I don't think I talk about it too much because I talk about it with Ray and the writers and stuff. I just sent Ray one and the writers today, an AI generated thing. So there are literally hundreds of AI generated fake images of Ray and the cast, and I very, very seldom write anything on other pages, but somebody said, why? There was a comment in somebody else's page with a fake picture of the entire cast, and it's like, say yes if you want to reboot. And so someone wrote, why do they keep asking us? This is clearly a fan, and I feel bad, but they're like, why do they keep asking us? There's millions of people who want to see the show again, and why do they just do it already? And so for one of the few times I wrote, I said, this is not a picture of the cast. They are not writing you. They have no idea this post even exists. So it seems for the normal person, they're like, why does Ray Romano keep asking us if we want to reboot? Like, I want to reboot. I love you, Ray. Let's do it. So the reboot would be, for a reboot to happen, and again, those of you who have been listening to me for the past 5 years, that's right, everybody, 5 years, been talking about Ed Rose Raymond. Phil Rosenthal tried to do a spin-off with Robert and Amy and Amy's parents and Peter, and who knows what Ray and Patty, Deborah's involvement would be in the show. But CBS said, no, thank you. They are too old. I still think, amongst other reasons, I'm sure multi-camera sitcoms were not popular then, as there, how many are there now? Are there 0 now? 1 now? Versus when I think Everett Raymond started, there were 25 on the air. But I still think we would be, funny is funny. And when you're watching these clips, you're like, oh, I just want to see more and more of them, of the new thing. So for a spinoff to happen, it would have to be Phil Rosenthal would have to be 100% behind it. The actors would have to be behind it and available. Ray Romano, for example, is doing he just finished a drama pilot with Greg Berlanti, who's directing, who's the most prolific drama producer in the world ever. If you look him up, he also directed Raymond in Fly Me to the Moon, which was a very good movie to see. So many things would have to happen. Never say never, but yeah, it would be a long shot. Okay, let me catch up on some. Let me go to the bottom. Not too old. Yes, we know they're not too old, but don't forget it's Hollywood. So when you're past 20, what is the demographic where they think you make money to? I think after 34, they want to take you out back and shoot you because you're no longer useful in selling products. Golden Girls kind of proved that theory wrong. Here's what I found about Hollywood. There's a lot of very smart, competent people in Hollywood, but TV is a black box thing. You don't know how it works. You don't know what's going to be a hit until it airs. So everybody would bet against Golden Girls being a hit until Golden Girls is a hit. Then it would be like, okay, well, I guess that one older sitcom. But for the most part, let's get young, beautiful people. So once something, it's just like, I don't know, what was it, Duck Dynasty? Was that a huge hit? Like who could predict? And I bring that up because when I was pitching other shows, they would say, we're looking for something like Duck Dynasty. I'm like, I bet you weren't before Duck Dynasty was a hit. Deb Tucker Frank, Blabbermouth, Season 8, Episode 20. What was the real juice? What was the real juice? In the episode, Amy said, hold on, let me do this. Why is this screen, I swear I'm looking at like a thumbnail. There we go. What was the real juice? In the episode, Amy tells Robert a rumor about Ray, but the audience never explicitly hears the exact embarrassing thing Deborah said. What was the specific, unspoken secret written in the script's bankruptcy? Interesting. In the backstory, yeah, the script's backstory. Deb, that is a great question. I don't know the answer off the top of my head. Maybe it is. Do I have a tea mug anywhere? Let me see. I don't think so. I do have my delicious, let me see what my Starbucks drink is. Here it is. There we go. Hold on. That's something I don't know. I'm going to have to look up the answer to that. There might be an answer. Okay. I'm drinking an iced hazelnut oat milk shaken espresso, half decaf, with salted caramel cream, cold foam, protein boosted milk, and a venti cup. That is delicious, I will add. Phenomenally delicious. Awesome. And on my tea-wise, I'm drinking this is this courtesy of Deb, since you asked the question? So I don't know if you're going to be able to see that because of the new lens. I would need to zoom in and out, which I don't want to do. It's Organic Zen. Wow, this is the opposite. Organic Zen Biologique. Is that how you would say it? There you go. So I'm the opposite. One is a blast of caffeine and all kinds of, I think it's a healthy drink, actually. Oh, you can see that on camera. I can see now. I can peek that. That is a very good, thank you, Deb, for sending me that. Okay, let's go back to these questions. Yes, remind me, Deb, I will ask Raymond or the writer of that question. Dreading the weekday, the World Cup. I guess that's what you're saying, Lisa. You're dreading the weekday games. Foxborough isn't built for that thing. Ray and I did a stand-up comedy gig at Foxborough, and Phil Rosenthal and a few of the writers did an Inside the Writers' Room. And I think I have video footage of us driving to Foxborough with Raymond, Anna, his wife, and who else? Maybe Rory Rosegarten. I can't quite remember that. Hi, Janet. Please keep the live chat. I haven't gotten into podcasts. Janet, you sent me some delicious things, right? Yes, I am going to never abandon the live chat. It's a lot of opportunity to talk to all of our cast live. Okay, cast, all of our friends here live, and the cast live too, if they should pick it in. Aaron Hunt, I think a show or movie with Ray, Kevin James, and or Nate Bargatze would be a hit. I would not disagree with you. I don't know. That's a really, yes, a good idea. And I have to say, from the outside, watching some movies, I know when Ray did The Big Sick, I was there the whole time. The Big Sick is a very funny movie, written by Kumail Nanjiani and his wife, very talented team, produced by Judd Apatow, super high on Rotten Tomatoes. I was talking to their producer. It's so hard to get a movie done. Ray Romano did Somewhere in Queens. He wrote it, directed it, helped finance it, all this stuff. It took him 7 years to make. I'm shocked when any movie gets made and that anybody has the wherewithal to stick to it. And then there's so many obstacles. I'll go through it one day. All of the obstacles that you have to face, but that is a good idea. Let me see. Let me see this comment. Hi, Teresa Patek Page. It's a one-time classic and won't be able to be continued. So many shows try. Leave it as is. But start a new sitcom with a whole new family and y'all still write for it. Yeah, that's a good idea. Now, remind me, I want to talk about me doing a tour of the stage. I can't forget that. Yes, us writing a whole new cast, and for a show, 100%. For those of you that want to see our Inside the Writers' Room, and hopefully we'll do some more around the country, you see how funny these writers are, but you need a magical cast. You need the super talented, unbelievable cast, because there's a lot of shows that just are 10% less than Raymond, and they're okay, and they go 3 seasons. So it is lightning in a bottle, as they say, but I don't think that's a bad idea. I think the spin-off idea that Phil had would have been a huge, fun hit. But again, it was going a different way. Okay. Let's see this. Yes, okay. That's for the 15th, which is tomorrow. All right, so I posted this quick little video of me on stage. So I was on stage, and it was 2 or 3 days before we filmed the final episode, and I was with my trusty editor, shooter, friend, Cheyenne Pesco, who was really, really talented, and we did a bunch of stuff, and we were talking to Larry Babbitts, who was our craft service guy. It's late, we're on stage, and after we got done talking to him, I go, Cheyenne, let's do a tour of the stage. Now, unfortunately, all the lights were off, but fortunately, because all the lights were off, I was able to walk around. Nobody was there, nobody was interrupting us, and for some reason, I had a yardstick. I don't know where I got it from, but I started at the door that you walk in, and I start going, okay, this is the wardrobe department. Here's who works in the wardrobe department. There's Ray's dressing room. There's the kids' dressing room. There's Dora's dressing room. There's the backstage. Everything, an entire tour. I opened doors that I'd never opened in 9 years. So that tour was on a Mini 8 shot with a Canon XL1. Is that what it was? It's a white camera. If you look it up, that has been sitting in a plastic bin in my house since I shot it, and I have 300 or so videos like that That one, when we were doing the Paley exhibit last year, which, by the way, is the exact 1 year anniversary. Today's the 14th, and I think our event was the 15th, the 16th, the 16th maybe. I started looking for footage because we needed to make clean pieces of footage, much of which is at the Long Island Museum of Music and Entertainment Hall of Fame now. But there I go. I was like, I know I did a tour of the stage, and that would be gold to find. Now, to get it professionally transferred takes time and money. I forget what it was. Was it like $30 a tape or something like that? It was going to be insane money. But I found an old camera, and I started digitizing it, even though it's a digital tape, but getting into my computer. This is really in the weeds, but I'm going to tell you, why didn't Tom share the whole tour? I'm telling you, some of the tapes corrupted, and we have to go back with a professional, and they have to have clean heads, and then do it a real professional transfer. I'm coming up on that chance to do it very soon, and so that's why I wasn't going, let me just frustrate them and show them the littlest piece. Right after I go to that scene, it starts to get this artifacting, it's called, and it's just blocks of, it's unwatchable. That's what it is. So, but at some point, I will have that transferred, and you'll see the whole tour of Tom walking around. And even for me watching, I go, oh, here's a view I've never seen. Me standing by the washer and dryer looking up out towards the audience and then seeing the audience, etc. So that footage plus so many hours, so many more hours of Phil giving notes and the cast interacting, etc. And now you look back on it and you're like, oh, there's Patricia Heaton, and she is 42 years old, which is uncomfortably young. And at the time, I'm sure she was like, I'm 42. Everything is done. I'm over with. Okay. We'll see. We'll let Patty, when she's here, see if I was truthful or not. Let's see this. Let's scroll to this. Let's go over to Instagram. The neglected stepchild of my lives. Almost nobody answers the questions. He can't be a hardhead. Love it. Okay, I'm catching up. My dad is a hardhead. Testa dura in Italian, yes. I think it's what keeps him moving, one foot in front of the other. We definitely have our dads in common. Okay. Oh, I'm catching up on a whole sidebar conversation. Interesting. Let me scroll down. Your father still drives? Yeah, I will say this. I saw Norman Lear, I guess he was 97 or 98. And he was at Phil Rosenthal's house for a movie night, and he was saying goodbye to everybody after the movie. He goes, bye, and I'm sitting next to someone on the couch in Phil's like kitchen area, very casual hangout, and Norman Lear says, okay, bye, and someone's like, how are you getting home? And he's like, Norman Lear goes, I'm driving. And so he was used to being independent, and he was until the very end, which was phenomenal. Okay. Let me scroll up and see, what am I missing? Hello from Ontario, Canada. Ciao a tutti from Cleveland. Yes. There's a big Italian population in Cleveland, right? Home of Patricia Heaton, and former home of Patricia Heaton and Steve Skrovan, writer Steve Skrovan. The very funny writer Steve Skrovan. Okay, let me catch up on Facebook. We need more 90s, early 2000s style sitcoms. Yeah, Aaron Hunt. It's frustrating, right? Because I Love Lucy is still super popular. Everest Raymond is super popular. Friends, like all that stuff. I just don't see them coming around. And I don't know. I was talking to a couple of Friends writers. I just don't know. So the business model, that's what I'm hesitating, because to have a hit show costs a crazy amount of money. They have to have faith in it. And people I don't know zero young kids I encounter, I'm talking about 24 and under, watch network TV. Like zero. Like I don't even think it's a thing on their radar. So I don't know if, and I was talking about also the Raymond writers, for a show to go 210 episodes, it's almost unthinkable now. I don't mean to depress you, but that's kind of the facts. Hi, Neil Passmore. And I've mentioned that I knew a Nick Passmore, who was a British wine and spirits writer, who is no longer with us. Hi, Tom. I was watching the pilot episode and some of season 1 this past week. It's interesting to see how Ray, especially, seemed different in the acting compared to later seasons. It's like he evolved and became more and more natural in the portrayal as years went on. As an insider who grew together through the years, did you notice that difference with the cast? Excellent, Nick. You're always at the top of my list of you move up with Donnell and Deb Tucker Frank. Who else? Kim, of course. Teresa I haven't seen Teresa. Teresa's written me, but I haven't seen her here lately. I hope everything's all right with Teresa from Chicago, from Tofano. So that is a great, and of course, Bob Silva and Gil in the UK. Yeah, I guess I could list all the friends, but then we would be here for 2.5 hours, which wouldn't be a bad thing. Yes. So did I notice it? So here, going into the series, going into Ever's Raymond, Ray came off of News Radio where he got fired after the first day. It seems like a terrible thing to share with people, except for Ray is very successful now. So it would be a really bad story if Ray was working in Starbucks and doing stand-up on the side. But he is not. It all worked out. So the beginning of season 1, there was a little bit of apprehension that the axe could fall, and now he has to carry the whole show. Peter Boyle had nothing to prove. Doris Roberts had nothing to prove. Patricia Heaton was already a proven entity, but not a star like Peter Boyle. Brad Garrett is, I'm just trying to think, he was so unbelievably funny out of the gate in that role that I don't know where Brad was as far as fearful of his acting, because he had done things. He had done a Seinfeld. He'd, I'm sure, done a ton of other stuff, and phenomenal voice actor. If you don't know, Brad Garrett is an amazing voice actor. So at the beginning, Ray was doing, this is, when I say we, it's Phil having to figure out how to work with Ray and write for him and make him shine. And I think it's almost with acting, it's almost like a sport. When you become really, really good at a sport, you're not pushing, you're waiting for things, and you become comfortable in your own skin. And I think that's what happened with Ray after just doing it. Literally just, as we say in flying, stick time of just doing acting the craft. And so, yes, Ray got markedly better. He won an Emmy for acting. And he was always known, and he didn't get mad at me, but there was a documentary for the Pop TV network, which you can get. It's a great documentary about the story behind Ever's Raymond, and I'm interviewed, and they go, I'm telling the story. I'm saying, Ray was always getting fired and whatever. And when Ray watched it, he goes, I wasn't always getting fired. I mean, he got fired once, which was very important, but he was going up for parts and he wouldn't get it because Ray would kill in the comedy clubs. And there's a couple of actors like that. Hold on, let me drink some of this to calm me down because I'm getting too excited, I think. Here we go. Well, that's very tasty. I think, right on the perfect plate. Hold on. By the way, I just have to get to the studio earlier because my A wasn't in the S because I had to set up a bunch of, there were a bunch of things that we were changing. All right, now, I think... Ray forgave me for saying he got fired all the time. But that, yes, so 100%, Raymond felt more comfortable. And now, once he won an Emmy, and I think it was for an episode that I wrote with Aaron Shore called The Breakup Tape. He submitted that tape. And I think, now I don't think he has any. He's directed a movie. He's, Scorsese, Martin Scorsese's pretty decent director. He picked Raymond. So I think that feeling of like, can I prove, am I a good actor? I think that kind of went away. All right, let me go back to questions. So many good questions. Okay, I have to catch up. Okay, hold on. I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screens right now. Let's see this and then this. Someone sent me a screen grab. I don't see it yet. Okay. Let's scroll back. Let's. Aaron, you're saying, wow, that's forceful, Aaron. Who cares about what the kids these days are watching? The rest of us make up a large part of the market. Yeah, Aaron, I would agree 100%, 100%, and it's very frustrating because that becomes this neglected market, like past 45. I mean, as I said, it's like 18 to 30. They break it down. So when you get ratings, in the old days with Everybody's Raymond, we would call up for something called the overnights, and we'd find out what is your rating and what is your share. And then they break it down to, we were number one in the 18 to 35 year. We were, because all they're trying to do is appeal to advertisers. All the network executives are trying to do is tell this insurance company, this car company, listen, the people that watch our show buy your car more than any other show that's on the air. So we want you to advertise on Everybody Loves Raymond because we'll sell more Fords and Chevys than any other TV show on the air. Sadly, that's what allows Ray Romano to get paid a lot and for their budget to be big and for the whole cast to be big and for the production to be good and to afford super, super talented writers. Okay, I feel like that was self-serving, but what are you going to do? All right, let's see. How do I blow that up? Okay. ELR is the only American sitcom I can think of that got better as the seasons went on, where most, in my opinion, peak around season 6 and then tear off. Season 6, the tear off, but ELR just got better from Beth in England. Hi, Beth. That is great. Yes. So I will say this. Part of that fact, I would agree with you. I mean, you know, and it's weird because I bring up Seinfeld fairly often, and a lot of you are like, I never watched Seinfeld, never cared for Seinfeld. A completely different animal. But from being on the inside, that consistency was because of Phil Rosenthal and Ray Romano from the beginning, you know, pretty much working together. All probably, you know, there were 5, 6, 7 people who were there from the very beginning to the very end on the writing staff. And then, of course, the cast didn't change. The great addition of Monica Horan. But I posted this, and this I wanted to ask, what was your favorite season of Everybody's Raymond? I don't think in terms of seasons, just because they all blend together. It's very interesting because I just don't. They don't, you're living episode by episode. And that has come up in the past where people have like, what's your favorite season, Tom? And I don't look at it. It's weird that I just don't look at it in that way, just from being from the inside. But I was surprised that so many people said season 3 because it felt like we really hit our stride in season 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Every one of those seasons has so many home runs. And, you know, I've said this before, the last season, A Date for Peter, Pat's Secret. These are absolutely home run episodes, like as good as any episode of the entire series. And so that is absolutely because of the consistency of the writing and the cast. But here's what happens. Let me just explain why that is. On a lot of shows, especially back then, if you were a writer on a hit show, the networks or somebody would go, hey, Tom, can we talk to you for a second? What if we offered you, I'm not making these numbers up. I did not get this offer, just so you know. But hey, what if we offered you $14 million to leave Raymond and to write another hit show for us? Like, we know you're the talented one on that series. And so in other sitcoms, it's very hard if you have a family to be like, you know, I have an allegiance. I'd rather get paid 1/10 of that, which is still crazy money, but I'd rather not leave this show. It happened to Phil Rosenthal. They offered him money. CBS was not coming to the table with much of a big price increase, pay increase, and so this is. It all worked out. But, I think Phil's agent was like, let me see what else is out there. And Phil got a huge offer, which he accepted. And then he said, you know what? I'd rather stick to my show. And he stayed to the end. And, of course, he made much more money ultimately. But that's what happens. That's why you're like, why did this show go downhill? A lot of times, the writers just leave, and the you can't make a good show without a really good showrunner. It's just impossible. Showrunner, the head writer. Excellent, excellent, excellent question. I see another one here. Let me see. I wonder if I can pull it up here. This would probably be even bigger. Let's see this. Let's see this. Let's see if that. Yes, look at that. It literally went from, I'm not kidding, the type was this big on my phone. Did any of the actors, writers, or producers base the episode when Frank and Marie go to the home, a real-life experience for them? Hi, Meredith. I really love that episode. I have to ask Phil about that, the home. I think Phil had the idea that it would just be great for Robert's life to be fantastic and everything looks good, and then his life goes even worse. And of course, in between, you have the funny moments. So I know that none of the writers had to put their parents into a home at the time of the series. So, but that's a very good question for Phil. But yes, I don't, and I will say this. There's a lot of episodes that that I wrote where I go, okay, I know that story. Young Girl, Jazz Records happened to me. The Young Girl episode happened to me. And then there's episodes that I wrote, like Ray and I wrote Jealous Robert together. I don't remember for the life of me how we came up with that story idea. And I remember writing it because we were fighting about it because we were doing a documentary. It's like, we don't even have time to write the script, you know? And indeed, if you see the well-maintained dry erase board in the writer's room, you would see all the scripts are in, turned in. But there's one big empty slot for Ray and Tom, who are way behind. I had a teacher at Sparta High School who said, I used to be a big behind, now I'm a little behind. No, I used to be a little behind, and now I'm a big behind. That's what he would say. You used to be a little behind, now you're a big behind. I didn't say he was funny, but he was a history teacher. Okay. That was a great, but just so you know, yeah, I don't remember that. I wrote The Lone Baron, where Ray's home, and he gives a speech to Robert about being single, and I can't remember how we came up with that, etc. So the home, so there's two things we're up against. Will Phil remember? I don't know, did Phil write the home? I think he either wrote the home or Not So Fast. But will we remember, and will any of the writers remember? Because that seems to be a problem with us. The big ones, the baggage episode happened to Tucker Cawley, so who remembers that? Okay, let's go back. Look at the time here. Look at what I have, by the way. Wow, you can tell it's a strong magnet. Here are our magnets which are for sale. The super heavy duty refrigerator magnet. Look, this is how strong it is. There's a magnet and a screwdriver stuck to the back of this. That is an effective. This has been hanging on my refrigerator. I have to cover my face, otherwise the camera focuses on my face. This has been hanging on my refrigerator, the prototype, for 3 years. They are available on our shop. Exactly the wallpaper from the show, exactly the spoon and fork outline when you move those magnets. They're made of wood. So yeah, Phil wrote it. I think he wrote it with somebody else, though. No, Phil didn't write it. Let me see this. Okay, yeah, Tucker and Jeremy, and then maybe Phil wrote Not So Fast? I don't remember. Tucker and Jeremy Stevens. Okay, let's cruise on. We have to guess an episode, right? I'm looking over there. By the way, for those of you that missed it last time, I talked about inside of Phil's new book here. Inside of Phil's new book, posted there, posted on back. Oh, that was holding the page. Is the Deborah's Brajol recipe. A lot of people have trouble spelling it because in Italian, and forgive me, my true Italians out there, bracciole. So Braciole. Rhonda Robinson, head of props, got the recipe. I think it's on. There's a William Sonoma published that book, and then Phil, I think they tested it and made sure it worked and maybe tweaked it. But it's a really, really extensive listing of that recipe. So that is in there. Yes, Phil, Mike, and Ray. Not So Fast. Interesting. Sometimes the writing credit gives Phil and Ray always, and it gets confusing on every episode. Okay, let me catch up before. Look at the time. How great are these Sunday visits, everybody? Let me scroll down and catch up here. We have people to help you pack. Yes, a great, great one. Did any of the actors, writers, or producers? Okay, that one. Okay, now I'm caught up here. Now let's look over on this screen on Facebook. Yes, let me see this. A date for Peter. I just watched A Date for Peter last night. Peggy. Yeah. So a lot of people asked, why didn't they do more episodes with Peggy and Peter? We were out of series. There was no series left. It was the last season, and we were not doing more. Believe me, we wanted to do it. That A Date for Peter is phenomenal. Why? Because Ray is tortured for the entire episode. You're watching him get tortured. You're watching Robert make an embarrassment out of himself. Everything is good in that episode. What makes an interesting story? An interesting story is when the main person can't get what they want, and so at every turn you can't get what you want. As a viewer, that is interesting. On A Date for Peter, that is all the time. Pat McDougall, yes, that was a great thing. Somebody asked, I saw one comment, someone had a kind of observation about David Praval's Italian accent. Very upset by it, very upset. Okay, I don't know. I'm going to say, I believe Phil saw David Praval on The Sopranos, wanted him for the show, and cast him. Did we have an Italian accent dialogue specialist? Did you feel the same way about Alex Meneses, who speaks Italian? And I'm just curious. But David Praval was phenomenal because he has that quiet, threatening presence. So not over the top, and less is more in that regard, which is really, really good. You want to see the audience endows the actor, you know what they're thinking. So, for example, in Lucky Suit, when Marie goes to the FBI agent and she's being heartfelt, Phil Rosenthal kept saying, Doris, don't cry. Don't cry. Watching a person hold in their tears is so much more powerful than watching a person hysterically crying. It's a very, very subtle thing, but an important thing. And David Praval brought that. I can't speak to his Italian accent, his phony baloney Italian accent. Okay. Yes, Mona, you've asked about Tasteless Frank a lot. Where did that come from? I believe that episode might have been written by Leslie Cavaney. So I don't know the origin about that. Why did Deborah's sister never come back? Excellent question. I think I don't remember there being any motivation. Had nothing to do with the actress. Like Alex Meneses played Stefania. Beautiful, very funny, torturous person in Robert's life. She's coming back, right? Deborah's sister episode, I just don't think there was an exploration there. And on a very pragmatic level, you would come in with stories and say, Phil, I have this story about my father blaming me for ruining my jazz records. I wonder if there's something there. Phil, I brought a young girl to an event and it caused a huge fight with your wives. Maybe there's a story there. So somebody has to pitch that story. So if somebody came in and said, hey, I have a great idea for Deborah's sister again, I think Phil would have been like, yeah, let's hear the show idea. That's great. And it would have gone on. So there was no we'll never see Deborah's sister again, just so we're clear. Okay, everybody? Let me see. Bada bing, bada boom. Yes, Steve Scrovan. Oh, I can ask Steve Scrovan about that. Let me see if I can get an answer for you. Also, I have to still trying to get the lipstick answer. Deborah's lipstick. I'm assuming that Deborah wore lipsticks, but I feel irresponsible for not giving you guys the answer to that. Let me see. See this? From Am, why did they change the living room layout over the years? So, yes, Lucky Suit based on a real story. Yes. So let me answer the one thing at a time. Here, let me go back here. I can't bring up the Instagram questions to be seen, and I don't know which question this is. So let me just see this. You wrote for Ray to say he'd spank a supermodel. Yes, that was my line. That was my line. I don't. It doesn't come from personal experience, but it was. That was trying to show the contrast. That's from Ray. That's from the Lone Barone, and that was Ray. That was Ray saying how terrible marriage was, and he's in a prison, and it's terrible. And I just happened to blurt out that line in the writers' room, and nobody heard it except for Jeremy Stevens. And Jeremy said to Phil, "What about the line that Tom said? Why don't you just spank a supermodel in front of me?" And so then there's a funny callback. I forgot that Deborah says, "No, it's what every wife wants to hear, is that her husband wants to spank a supermodel." And then I remember we had correspondence where someone wrote a letter that said, "Finally, your show has embraced S&M," and blah, blah, and I'm like, boy, this guy really is reading into one funny line. So the set didn't change throughout the year so much as the first year was a presentation pilot, which is a very cheap pilot. They don't think it's going to go, so they minimize their losses. Instead of spending $1 million, they'll say, "How about, can you make the show for $450,000 using sets that we use for this failed pilot and a coffee table that is missing a leg, etc." So they do a presentation pilot. That's what they did for Everett Raymond. Then season 1, we moved to Hollywood Center Studios. The pilot was shot at Universal Studios, and then it became more of the permanent set, but the wallpaper was different. The wallpaper had that kind of pattern. Not a heart. That wasn't a heart. It's just a square versus the vertical stripes, which we know from the season 5 opener wallpaper. Italy 1 and 2 were the openers technically, but the first one we shot on stage was episode 100 wallpaper, where we study the wallpaper. That's why people notice the wallpaper difference. So then we moved from Hollywood Center Studios, which is now Sunset Las Palmas Studios, to Warner Brothers, stage 5, season 2. And that's where the set kind of didn't change much, other than a few things you'll notice, like the window. Suddenly a window disappeared by the front, or did it appear? And I always say to people, people do remodel. They remodel their houses over 9 years. So you can't be like, wait a minute, continuity problem. There was this here, like I'm sure some of you have remodeled. Excellent question, though. Let's see this. Let me do this and then bring this up. Yes, I salute your father back. Happy birthday to him. June 14th birthday. That makes him a Gemini. That could make him roll his eyes, or he could be like, yeah, that's right, depending where you are on the whole spectrum of astrology. The bathroom, yes, okay, so Lucky Suit. Lucky Suit happened to Tucker Cawley's father. Tucker Cawley's father, high-powered lawyer, and Tucker came in and said, "Hey, my father's firm got this letter." It was a wife writing saying, "Hey, my husband's being interviewed and I ruined his lucky suit. I didn't pick it up in time from the cleaners," I think what it was. And then it was like, the thought in the writer's room was like, oh my goodness, when that husband gets home, first of all, he must have been furious at her before he left. Then when he gets home to find out that she wrote a letter to the law firm, if he did even find that out, she might have been like, "I tried to fix it. I sent them a letter." So then it was, Tucker wrote that story. And I think this thing that separates, because somebody said, you guys have the best sitcom after I Love Lucy, and everything is apples and oranges. You can't really say that this is the best or whatever. But one thing that I don't think I Love Lucy did as much as Raymond was these emotionally connected stories, like Ray's Journal, The Lucky Suit, where you see these emotions come around, and so that Lucky Suit, you really saw this beautiful side of a mother being concerned about her son. Now, somebody wrote about The Lucky Suit. They said, "Is the FBI considered a dangerous job?" Well, I guess more so than insurance salesmen. I mean, maybe it's not as dangerous as I don't know, being on the bomb squad maybe, but you know, you're in law enforcement, and I'm guessing quite a few FBI agents have lost their lives over the years. Okay, where are we on? Oh my goodness, yes, yes. Let's play guess. Oh no, I have to eat a snack. No, I have to do guess the episode. One, my hands get really dirty. Okay. Oh, I don't think I've ever shown this one. Okay. Let's see how this works on... Oh, this is where I was doing 2 cameras with a switcher. Okay, here we go. Oh, I can tell this is early. All right, let's see if you guys can see this. Okay, hopefully it's not too dark or too small. Raymond in bed. Raymond here by my finger. That is Richard Marion. Richard Marion with Raymond. Ray's acting coach. Okay, hit that. Oh, I don't have a pocket. Okay. Ah, yes. Time to guess, folks that don't know it. This is, I don't think you can see, hopefully you don't see the writing and to give it away. But there's Raymond again. Yeah, there is no writing of what the episode. Here's the lovely Patricia Heaton. Okay. There she is. Earring shot, close up of her earring. Sorry, I have to keep talking up towards the microphone. Yes. Time to guess the wardrobe script that Tom rescued from the dumpster. Let's get rid of this glare here. There we go. There we go. All right. Patricia Heaton. Again, I guess, oh, she's holding up her hands to show she doesn't have jewelry. All right, Doris Roberts now. Let's keep this in the light. I think that'll help in the light. Yes, Doris Roberts wearing very similar outfits. That's going to be a tough one. All right, let's scroll down and see if anybody has catched. Deb, yeah, we're in the middle of guessing the thing, but yeah, I would say, did Peter's character was based on? That's a good question. I know there's been a couple. I don't want to out any of the writers of having in-laws who might reflect what Peter was like. Okay, let me scroll down and see if anybody's close to guessing. Ray working from home. Why the dual role for John Manfrotati? Ray's friend, marriage, and a cable guy. Okay, that comes up a lot, and I will answer it. Here we go. That's Marie. We saw that. So far, I don't see any guesses. Let's see. Let's scroll down. Tom Caltabiano here, writer on Everett Raymond, and unofficial photographer, and now kind of historian because I saved a whole bunch of everything from the dumpster. There we go. Peter Boyle. Are these? I hope you guys can see these pictures. Peter Boyle. Let's see. Did somebody already guess it? Okay. Here we go. Brad Garrett. I won't say it in case you guys are trying to figure it out. Brad Garrett, yeah, the tell. The kids, I don't know that the kids will be a tell. Here. Okay. There is Dave Attell. That's a tell right there. Our friend Dave Attell, very funny stand-up comedian in this episode. And, oh yeah, and there's a famous broadcaster. So that you'll know. I'm sorry if I'm going frustratingly fast, but Andy Kindler is in it. Oh, here's a cute photo. Hold on. And then I'll go back and we'll see the timestamp of who won. Here's Raymond behind one of the twins smiling in the background. Don't worry, folks. I post pictures of these. And let's see if there's anybody else. Okay. Let's see the guesses, everybody. Okay. Sorry, I'm reading these other things. Yes, moment of silence as I scroll through, looking at all of these things. Okay. By things, I mean all these different screens. Okay, and let's look here. Michelle, I can't see any of the pictures. Okay. Pictures are too far away from me. Okay. All right. Ray had strep throat. I have a cousin, now retired, was in the FBI. He was at first the Gold Shield detective in New York City. He was maybe the first. Congratulations on that. The episode where Deborah accidentally throws out an important letter from Muhammad Ali to Ray reminds me of when my dad accidentally threw out something very important of mine, and realized in a lengthy car journey to fix it. Interesting. How did Phil Ray, the writers, come up with the last names for everybody? Yes. Barone. Yes, I can tell you almost all of those. Okay. Did we? Who guessed? Zony Pony. I'm gonna have to check the time, but congratulations. Yeah, Zony Pony guessing it. So I may have to, when I do this longer lens, I may have to set up a dual camera setup again to zoom. I can hit a button and then zoom in. Noted. So now we have to. This is a trivia and eyesight test, both in one things. Okay. Why the dual role for John Manfrotati? So a lot of people think, we got them, we caught them. How dare they? Everose Raymond was on the chopping block season 1. It was 100, at one point it was like 106 in the ratings, and I think there were only 120 shows on the air, so it was going to be canceled. And so Ray Romano had a friend named John Manfrotati. They're still friends. John Manfrotati helped Ray Romano get into the Comedy Cellar. He made his recommendation for Ray to get into the Comedy Cellar, where he ultimately filmed his network TV special right here around the corner. Ray goes, hey, John, our show's probably going to get canceled, but do you want to play a part if I get it? Yeah, sure. Okay, we have a part for a cable guy. Great, Ray. I will do that part. He does that part. The show gets picked up, and now people see him as his friend, because we know the show's coming back as Johnny, John Manfrotati, Gianna. I pronounce Johnny because we get a lot of gruff because they would say Gianni sometimes, which is incorrect pronunciation. So then people look back and they go, wow, you guys are so not smart. You thought we would not notice that. No, I mean, that's just the show business way. Kevin James, a lot of debate about that, where I see, and I always find it interesting because one thing that I can't compete with you guys on is what has aired, because you guys have seen the episodes much more than me. So when I say, hey, this is the only time this happened, and then you guys go, Tom, it's funny the level of ignorance about the show you worked on, but you guys have watched the show much more than me or Ray or Phil or anybody else, especially since, yes, we would write it and watch it, run through every single day, and then watch the editing, and then watch it again during playback, and then sometimes that would be it, and you're on to the next episode. So with Kevin James was Raymond's friend as a stand-up comedian. I knew Kevin very well. He lived with me and Ray at the end of season 1 of Everose Raymond. Ray's like, he's very funny. Phil Rosenthal's like, he's very funny. He's not in another episode or another series, so let's use him as Ray's friend. Okay, great. Let's have him be a sports guy. Great. And then a show written by Michael Whitehorn and is it David Litt called King of Queens casts Kevin James in their independent of Everose Raymond series. But it's on CBS. So CBS says, hey, you can no longer have Kevin on your show as Kevin. You can have him on your show as Doug from King of Queens. So now people look back and go, you know, you guys are so stupid or foolish. I don't know what you're trying to pull on us, but we saw that Kevin was something different. That's the natural way that it happened. The show progressed, and then another show popped up, and they cast Kevin James, and we couldn't use him on the show as Kevin. So that's why the Johnny thing, that's why the Kevin James. There's usually a logical explanation for everything, folks. Let's see. Yes, Little Johnny. That was a great line. That was Phil. So Ray and I wrote that script, and in that moment, in Jealous Robert, where Marie goes, hi, Little Johnny, Phil read our draft and goes, I feel like there can be something more here. And Phil was 100% right. Like, Marie and Deborah should have an agenda. You know when you feel used by your friends? The cleanest example when they're like, hey, I'd love to see you Sunday. Oh, yeah. I'm around Sunday. Great. I'm also moving on Sunday. Oh, okay. Why didn't you say that to begin with? So Ray, Deborah, and Marie have the agenda. They would like to make Amy feel bad for dating a shorter guy than Robert. So everything is loaded, and they want them to stay in the room so Robert can come over because Marie smelled gas. So Phil was like, I think each of these lines should carry some weight, which is, Phil was 100% correct. Okay, the canister, in its own spotlight, by the way. Here's the canister from the canister episode, and I have a treat. Okay, I thought there was a mousetrap in here. Okay, what is this thing? Okay, great. I thought it was soap. Okay, here we go. Here, let me just do this. This would be, that was just for camera, everybody. This is called, I see, I gotta keep it, I can't push it too forward because it goes out of light, and I know it's not zoom immy. We could try and do a zoom, but we don't have to. Okay. Good Mood, and it looks like, does anybody know where this is from? Here we go. Sound, cue the airplane. We're gonna taste this. I've never seen this labeling or this type of product in my life. Okay, let's see this. Again, my same joke. Person sitting next to you, behind you, around you in the movie theater. Okay. Okay, it looks like, smells really good. It is, I'm gonna say it looks like, see, I can push it all the way to here, and then it starts to go out of the light. Is that focusing? It looks like I'm Mr. Cookie Face with that. All right, so it looks like a shortbread with a filling of some sort. Oh, you know, I don't like to say I'm Sherlock Holmes, but there's pictures of two cherries on the front, so. Uh-oh. Manners go out the window when we're tasting the food. So for those who don't know, I try and rate these 1 to 10. We did a test in 2002, maybe, in the writer's room. So way before people were tasting stuff on camera. So I was expecting a Jammy Dodger crispness and the short bread that breaks. Brittle. Brittle is the word I'm looking for. This is very chewy. It's very tasty. I'm going to do something I don't usually. I'm going to taste 2 just to make sure I don't get it wrong. So again, here is what we're looking at. Good Mood. Boy, is that illegal to just say, hey, eat this sugary product? And by the way, it's not too sweet. Okay, hold on. Uh-oh. It's a very unique flavor. I will say the shortbread, again, I had Jammy Dodger in my head, which is unfair. I'm going to give this a 7.6 rating, which is pretty high. It's tasty. I generally I don't not like cherry. It's not my go-to flavor, but it's very cherry. Very good. I highly recommend it. If you're ever visiting this country, which somebody will tell me on here where this country is from. Let's see. I'm looking at some answers. Very good, very tasty. All right, let's do some final things here as we go a little bit long. So many questions. How many times did bada bing? How many times did it take Jeffrey to score that basket? Oh yeah, that's a really good. Why did you completely ditch all the great sports star cameos after season 2? That was an idea of the president of CBS to save the show from cancellation. So they thought, hey, nobody likes this show that you guys are writing, but people might like it if you have giant stars. And then eventually everybody was like, we kind of want to see Ray and Marie, and we don't need to see Jabbar in the living room, as big of a thrill as that was for those of us on the show. So that's why. They just didn't need him anymore, and it felt shoehorned in. Let me see. Diane, yes, Ray responded to the supermodel comment by saying he doesn't want to, but sometimes they're naughty. Yeah, that's called playfulness, everybody. That's a great, I forgot that line was in there, but yeah, that's called playfulness. I do find it, so I don't want to say some people don't have a sense of humor, but some people really, there is a point where if you're overthinking stuff, it does take away all of the joy from life. So there you go. That was a funny line. I liked Marie's Kitchen in the pilot episode. Let me see. 3 babies, yes, at the beginning. That Doris's makeup was very white. Yeah. So Aaron Hunt. I saw before you were in the hospital, but now you are out. Is that what I didn't? There's so many messages. If you guys could see the number of messages I got. Okay, let me bring Mona up from this. But yes, that was a complaint, and it was explained to me by a makeup person once, especially with a flash, that makeup, she looked like a kabuki a little bit. And I don't think, I have to look, I don't know that our hair and makeup people were the same in season 1 as they were ultimately. I'll have to check. I know Ralph was new. I think he came in season 3 or 4 or something like that. Hi, Mona. I hope this connects because I'm having problems. I just want to say something that's okay. You know, I'm only joined up with our people here in your group, Tom, but I see things on Facebook that you know every time you will put up something, a picture or a story. Then I see on other groups, not the same picture, but almost the same. And it bothers me that they just can't think for themselves. And every time you put something up, they put almost the same thing. I mean, they wouldn't put exactly, and then it's cut off. Let me see. They wouldn't put exactly what. Yeah. So I can't control what other people put up. When people take my photos, crop out my logo, my white, my translucent little, my ELR 360 Live logo, which is a little TV set, but you can also see my name sometimes in the far right-hand corner. A watermark is what they call it. That's annoying, or just share it. Like I'm happy, there's room for 25 Everybody's Raymond fan groups. The most annoying thing is when they take my exact words, copy that, paste that over another photo that they've cropped out. And I will share this story. I've even put up my watermark through the center of the photo. And then this one Facebook page, they put up their watermark, which is a very heavy watermark, over the center of the photo. So they blocked, 40% of the photo just to block my name from the photo, and were posting it instantly. So they knew exactly what they were doing. Rather than just post my photo, share my photo on your page. You can do that all day long. It shows where it comes from. Okay, but Mona, yes, I have, yes, it's very annoying. Let's see, when people do that. But, you can't police everything. And there's, you have to go, okay, hopefully good wins. And so we get the most followers and people come here for their source. All right, I'm really going long here. But I'm loving it. All right, let's go to the bottom, see what I've missed. Let me see. Yes, they take everyone. Yes, still right. I saw it, yes, for the first time. Wish they had more characters at the reunion. Who else would you want to have seen? So the problem, yes, Bob Silva, do you park your Gulfstream G700 at Van Nuys? Now, for those of you that aren't into aviation, my friend is a test pilot for this company. These guys make private jets. Private jets are extremely expensive. I think my car is 25 years old, so I don't have a private jet, but my friend gave me this free hat. And so as some of you know, I do a educational Muppet type series on PBS called Hello, Hi, How Are You? And I was going to the puppet builder, and he saw this hat. He said, oh, a G700. I said, yes, puppetry, helping children is paying a lot more than it used to, which made him laugh because he's in the same industry. So yeah, good joke, inside joke, Bob, appreciated. If I had a Gulfstream, I'd still be doing the show. But private jet territory is way out of any normal human being's league. However, if your friend works for the company, you can get a free hat. And if I meet you, Bob, I will give you one, because clear yours. Aaron Hunt, you are out and you are doing fantastic. That is great, or you are doing great, and I'm saying that's fantastic. Yes, you guys can. Please don't feel bad if you follow other Facebook pages. Does PE Guy use the Gulfstream jet? Who is PE Guy? I don't know who PE Guy is. Does PE Guy? Am I missing that joke? I don't know. Okay, so just so we know, working late again was that script. Excellent guesses. Don't worry, folks. I'll have another camera, or I'll have a focus. We'll do some zooming focus. We tried this delicious from a mystery country with writing. We covered a lot of things. We mentioned Phil's book. All right, see you guys next week. We're coming out with our new feature of, I think, this week, of me talking about the photos. I'm really excited for you guys to share. We're going to be putting it on everywhere, on Facebook, etc. So, all right, have a good week, everybody. I will see you then. Thank you for all of your comments and suggestions.